Rejected at the depot for being too tall. Clara refuses the return ticket. And by sundown the town learns what real strength looks like. The train coughed to a stop at Silver Creek and Clara Weston stepped down. She had imagined a small welcome, maybe a wave, maybe a sign with her name. There was only wind and a few stars. He was supposed to meet her by the flower crates. "I will spot you easily," his last letter said, "being tall as you are." Clara lifted her chin. She had never found a way to be shorter, only to stand without apology. A man in a new hat came forward. "Miss Weston?" "Yes." Henry Pike, the shopkeeper who paid her fare and wrote neat lines about biscuits and quiet evenings, looked her up and down. To meet her eyes, he tilted his head. "You are taller than I expected," he said. "Letters do not show height," she said. "True." He cleared his throat. "Well, let us get your bag." He did not touch it. She carried it herself. Inside the mercantile, the air smelled of kerosene and flour. Barrels and cloth bolts lined the room. Clara set her bag by the counter. Mr. Pike stayed near the door. "I am sorry," he said at last. "I pictured someone that's smaller, easier to fit into the town. Folks talk. Customers are delicate. You cannot afford a wife who is seen," she said. He winced. "I have made a mistake. The return train leaves tomorrow. I will cover the ticket. You will be more comfortable elsewhere." The words lay between them like a plank. Clara kept her breath even. She remembered counting coins in a dim room back east, mending her best dress and believing careful letters meant kindness. She remembered her father's hands and the grave with no stone. "Thank you for your honesty," she said. Relief washed over him. "I will send the boy to the depot." She lifted her bag. It felt heavier. Noonlight outside made everything too clear. The red dust, the hitching rail, the stairs that pretended not to be stairs. At the end of the street, a painted sign read "Boarding." A woman with a firm jaw and a wide apron swept the steps. Clara went to her. "Rooms by the week?" she asked. "If the week shows up when it says it will," the woman said. "May Hutchins, you?" "Clara Weston, from the train." "Come in." May's parlor smelled of coffee kept warm too long. She led Clara to a small room with a narrow bed, a table and a window framing pine tops. Rosebud wallpaper climbed a trellis that failed to meet in one corner. "It's not much," May said, "but it keeps out most wind. You look like you've been talked to by a man raised half right." "He was polite," Clara said. "That was the trouble." "Polite can skin you neat," May said. "Supper's at 6. If you want to sit quietly, do." Clara's laugh came thin, then steadied. "Thank you." When May left, Clara sat by the window. She counted the coins in her purse and counted the days they could hold. Not many. She set her hat on the table and smoothed the brim. If she could not be small, she could be steady. A shadow crossed the doorway. A man stood with his hat in his hands. "May said to bring this," he said, lifting a wrapped loaf. "Welcome, bread." "Thank you," Clara said. She stayed seated so he would not have to look up. "Gabriel Hart," he said. "North Timber. If you need help with heavy things, ask May for me." "I can lift my own bag," she said. "I figured," he said, mouth tilting. He set the bread on the table, touched the brim to the space between them, and left. Clara broke the bread. She ate a small piece and wrapped the rest. Outside, the bell rope stirred once and went still. Somewhere a hammer struck iron and kept time. The thought of tomorrow's train passed through her like a bird's shadow, noticed then gone. She was not leaving. She did not know yet where she would fit in this town, or how to make a place that could hold her height and her quiet. She only knew this: she would not be sent back like a parcel with the wrong address. She opened her bag. Needles, thread, a square of good linen, scissors. Her tools lay ready. Clara set the scissors on the table and let them catch the light. There was work in a town like this. Loose hems, ripped cuffs, winter to face. She could begin with men's. Clara touched the rosebud paper and felt the raised ink. She thought of her father. "When you cannot change the wind, change your stance." She faced the window. The day had not ended for her. It had told her where to start. Morning came thin and cold. Coffee and coal smoke slid under the door. Clara tied her braid and listened. Quiet felt like a gift. She set the tools on the small table. Needle case, thread, a tin of saved buttons, scissors bright as a promise. May knocked and entered with a tray. "Eat," she said. "Work goes better when the belly isn't asking questions." "Thank you," Clara said. May saw the open bag and neat tools. "You mean to stay?" "I do." "Good," May said. "Backbone isn't loud. Backbone just stands." Clara ate bread and sipped coffee, a little bitter. She folded the gray dress from the train and laid it smooth. The hem had held. Boots sounded on the porch. Gabriel Hart filled the doorway, hat in his hands, as if rooms asked for gentleness. "Morning," he said. "May said you sew." "I mend," Clara said. "Small things, larger if the cloth is good." He set a bundle on the table. A canvas jacket, stiff with pitch, torn along the sleeve. His gloves told his story, palms polished thin, fingertips frayed. "I caught it on a hook," he said. "If you can set a strong patch, I'll pay." "You don't have to pay for the first mend," she said. "I do," he said. "Come back at noon," she said. He tipped his hat and left. Clara cleared the table. She set a cloth square under the tier, cut the patch, and threaded her best needle. In pull, out smooth. Her father had taught her to keep stitches even so the seam would carry weight. She did not think of Mr. Pike. She thought of thread making something stronger than the cut. When she finished, she leaned back. The jacket looked plain again. Work done right wanted no applause. It wanted to last. She crossed to the window. A wagon rolled from the livery. 2 boys chased a tin hoop. Clara wrote a small sign, plain letters. Mending, buttons, hems, repairs, fair price. She set it in the window with 2 pins. Her heart knocked once, then settled. A knock came mid-morning. Not Gabriel. A young mother with a baby on her hip held a crushed hat. "Can you fix the brim?" she asked. "The sun finds his eyes." "I can," Clara said. The baby reached for Clara's braid and caught only air. He laughed anyway. The mother's shoulders eased. By noon, Gabriel returned. He tested the sleeve with a slow pull. "Good work," he said, leaving coins. He looked toward the sign. "You need a steady bench and light that lasts longer than this window. The north shed at the mill sits empty. It's dry. There's a stove when winter bites. If May says it's proper, I can clear a corner." "I'll ask May," she said. May was in the hall, arms crossed. "I heard," she said. "The shed is sound. Gabriel keeps a clean yard, set up by the south window. Mind the saws. Mind the men." Warmth rose in Clara's chest. "Thank you." They walked that afternoon. A narrow bridge crossed the creek. Ice limned the edges. The yard smelled of sap and fresh-cut boards. Gabriel opened the shed. Light fell in a square on the floor. Dust turned in it slow as snow. He cleared a corner with 3 easy lifts. An axe leaned against the wall, steel nicked and honest. He set a crate as a seat and a flat plank as a table. "Will this serve?" he asked. "It will," Clara said. She spread her tools where the light was best. 10 threads, needles. She hung her sign on a nail. Work began. The shed smelled of resin and wool, the humble scent of things meant to last. Each stitch drew breath into her small plan, turning fear into a list of tasks for this place. The young mother came by. Clara stiffened the brim with a careful stitch and a strip of felt. Coins changed hands. 2 loggers brought torn shirts and a coat with a chewed cuff. Clara patched and sent them out steadily. Word traveled in quick, quiet lines. Near dusk, she warmed her hands at the stove and watched the flame find its shape. Ash settled softly and did not sting. Her purse held a small weight that was not hope alone. She walked back with May in the blue hour. Windows lit along the street. No one called her too tall. No one asked her to leave. The town did not yet know her name as more than a whisper. That was all right. Names grow when work is steady. In her room, she set the scissors where the last light could find them. She breathed out. The day had tried to decide who she was. She had decided back. The next days moved in clean lines. Clara woke before light, warmed the iron on the stove in the north shed, and opened her tin of buttons. She threaded a needle and began. Work found her. A ranch hand with a torn sleeve came first. A schoolgirl with a rip at the knee came after. Two brothers argued over whose coat needed help more. She patched them both while they turned their hats. Payment came in coins. Gabriel passed by without stepping in, as if not to crowd the space. Still, he left signs. A thicker plank replaced her thin sewing table. A small oil lamp appeared by the window for when dusk arrived early. He did not speak of the changes. He checked the stove and the roof seam, then went back to the yard. At noon, Clara carried a bundle of mended clothes to May's porch and set them on a chair. May's ledger lay open, a neat line by name, a paid mark when money had met the line. "You write like a schoolteacher," Clara said. "I married one," May answered. "He writes in the cemetery now. I keep the lines straight just the same." Clara touched the ledger's worn edge. "Thank you for trusting me." "I trust what I can see," May said, nodding toward the bundle. Straight seams, quiet hands. In the afternoon, the wind rose. Sawdust lifted and turned the color of the air. Word traveled through the mill like water seeping into wood. Men arrived with cuffs and collars and canvas, standing easy near her table. They talked about her work, weather coming, a new sawtooth. She listened and stitched and passed shirts back stronger than before. Near closing, Clara stepped into the yard to shake a cloth. Mr. Henry Pike walked by with a customer. His hat sat neatly. His smile was for sale. He paused when he saw her sign. "Miss Weston," he said, voice polite as polished tin. "I hope you are well." "I am working," she said. His gaze flicked to the lamp, the table, the stack of repairs. "You have made yourself busy," Mr. Pike said. "Silver Creek respects a woman who knows her place." Clara held the cloth in both hands so she would not hold his words. "Work is a good place," she said. "Of course." His smile tightened. "Unusual trade for a lady. Our shoppers enjoy quiet. The mill is not quiet." "The mill pays," she said. He inclined his head and moved on. The customer looked back once, then followed. Gabriel came up the path with 2 jackets over his shoulder. He had seen the exchange and did not ask. He laid the jackets down and pointed to a seam. "This one takes strain when I lift," he said. "Could you run a second line inside the first?" "Yes," she said. "I'll set it tight." He nodded. From his pocket he placed a small object on the table, a wooden spool holder he had whittled smooth, 3 pegs standing like small trees. "For your thread." Clara touched the smooth top. The gift fit the table without claiming it. "Thank you," she said. "Trade me for a patch on my best shirt," he said. "Deal," she said. Evening pressed in with the smell of dinner drifting from town. Clara walked back with her basket on her arm. The town had not changed. She had. At supper, seats filled while May set a pot of beans and a pan of cornbread on the table. Conversation found a slow rhythm. A fence washed out near the south field. A rumor of a railroad cut that might bring strangers and take trees. "Railroad means coin," someone said. "Railroad means dust and fires," another answered. May refilled cups. "Railroad means both," she said. Clara listened. She felt the room's small shiver at the word strangers and realized she was one. Yet the chair held her. The food warmed her. The ledger had her name in it, the same as any. The feeling was comforting. It was the beginning of it. After the dishes, Clara climbed the stairs, set her basket down, and took out Gabriel's best shirt. The tear near the pocket needed an invisible mend. She chose a fine thread, matched it to the cloth, and worked under the lamplight until the seam looked like it had never been cut at all. She laid the shirt over the chair back. In the lamp's circle, the scissors caught a quick glint and then went quiet. Outside, the wind had fallen. The creek spoke in its sleep. Clara breathed. Work, a small belonging, a hard word answered. Tomorrow would bring more of all three. She was ready to meet it with steady hands and a clear back, at first light. Sunday came clear and cold. May set a lavender ribbon on the table and nodded toward Clara's gray dress. Wear this, May said. It tells folks you came to be seen. Being seen had cost Clara once. Still, she tied the ribbon and smoothed the skirt. She looked at herself and stood her full height. That was enough. They walked up the street. The church door stood open. Faces turned. She met eyes and did not lower hers. Whispers began, then the hymn rose and stopped them. Clara sang low. The reading spoke of a table with room. She listened without leaning too hard on it. After the service, the social began. Tables waited under cottonwoods with pies and stew. The creek rushed over stones. Clara stood near May and passed plates. Gazes brushed her and moved on. Afternoon, Miss Weston. Henry Pike's hat shadowed his eyes. Beside him stood a woman in a bright shawl. This is Miss Lila Cross from over the ridge. Clara nodded. Lila smiled. I hear you mend, Lila said. I like a woman with useful hands. I like women who use them, Clara said. Henry's laugh sounded polished. We are blessed with variety, he said, already looking toward a councilman and the bank clerk. He left Lila to follow Prophet. Up close she was all person, no window. You stand straight, Lila said. Don't stop. Standing is a habit, Clara said. They moved to the cleared space where a fiddler lifted his bow. Couples formed lines. Gabriel offered his hand. Clara took it. His palm was rough and warm. The first figure moved slowly enough for learning. Step, turn, join, apart. The ribbon at her waist lifted on each turn. People looked. She kept her eyes on Gabriel's shoulder and the bit of sky past his ear. He matched her. When the line circled, the circle held. Between tunes, she saw Henry beyond the ring, arms folded. His face failed at pleasant. He stepped forward. Miss Weston, he said, it is good to see you enjoying yourself. I hope Silver Creek has proven welcoming after our misunderstanding. Clara let go and faced Henry. I did not misunderstand, she said. You made your choice. I have made mine. Indeed, he said. I admire enterprise. Still, appearance matters here. People like a certain proportion. The word hung heavy. She pictured sound beams, strong thread. May's ledger marked paid. Proportion to what? She asked. Murmurs fell. Henry's smile slipped a fraction. To comfort, he said. Comfort can grow, Clara said. So can respect. So can a town's idea of what belongs. Lila's voice rang clear. Hear that, she said, not to Henry but to everyone. Gabriel did not step in. He stood at her shoulder. The fiddler lowered his bow. I am not smaller than I am, Clara said. I came here to work. Work is not a rumor. It shows and lasts. If that makes someone uneasy, they can practice being larger. A sparrow darted past. The creek kept talking. Henry took off his hat and put it back on again, which told enough. Well, he said, and had no other. The fiddler lifted the tune. Gabriel's palm met Clara's again. The second dance moved quickly. The ground met her step each time. At the last turn, Gabriel steadied her without holding her. She breathed. When the music ended, people clapped because the music asked them. Some clapped. She only stood as in the mirror, her full height, no apology. As the sun drew long stripes, May pressed a plate into her hands. "You handled that with a straight back," May said. "I handled it with facts," Clara said. "Same thing," May answered. At dusk, the ribbon at her waist had loosened. She retied it once, not because it needed it, but because beginnings like to be honored. She passed the mill and touched the shed doorframe. Inside the room at May's, she laid the ribbon across the chair back. It held the day's shape like a good seam, quiet, strong, made to last. In the quiet room, the ribbon kept its color. Clara washed her hands, set her scissors in their place, and watched the lamplight rest on steel. Tomorrow would come with work and watching eyes. She would meet, standing the size God gave her. Snow came fast. The sky lowered, the wind leaned, and the mill yard went white in an hour. Clara kept the iron hot and stitched while flakes slid down the shed window. Men hurried past, heads down. The saws fought the weather, then quit. By afternoon, the storm thickened. May stepped in with a shawl. "Home," she said. "Roads go blind after dark." "I have 3 hems to finish," Clara said. "Finish 1 and carry 2, May said. Clara tied off the seam, packed the others, banked the stove, and latched the door. Snow made the world simple and hard at once. They crossed the bridge. The creek wore a white cap and spoke where it had to. Signs creaked. Doors thudded and stayed shut. Night pressed its palm against the house. Clara slept with her boots closed. The storm kept on for 2 more days. Millmen slept in the office to guard the boilers. Gabriel did not knock, but his tracks told of work. Wide marks from gate to door and back, made and filled. On the 3rd day the wind dropped and the sun opened one blue eye. Clara warmed the shed, set her table straight, and breathed smoke and pine sap. A shout cut the quiet. She went to the door. Men ran toward the north slope, boots punching holes in the crust. At the cut, a pine lay crosswise on ice, and under it, pinned at the thigh, lay Gabriel. His breath came short. His hands held the axe like a railing. "Easy," she said. "Chain slipped," he said. Men tried to lever the trunk. The ice took their feet. "Wedges," Clara said, and trenched the downhill side. She did not shout. She placed words where they had to land. She cut a shallow channel so the log could roll. When the wedges came, she set one and signaled. The men heaved. The trunk lurched, rolled, and stopped. Space opened. Gabriel pulled, teeth bare, and was free. Blood colored the snow. Clara folded her scarf and tied it above the wound. "Hold," she said. He held. She and 2 men made a chair of arms and carried him down. Step by step. May had the back room ready. "On the bed," she said. "Fire high. Water now." Clara cut the trouser leg away. The cut was deep. She washed it slowly, sewed it slowly, and kept her hand steady when his breath went ragged. She wrapped the leg and met his eyes. "You'll keep the limb," she said. "Pain will sit heavy. We will sit heavier." He managed a smile. Sleep took him. News runs quickly when there is nothing else to do. By nightfall, half the town knew the size of the cut and 10 wrong parts besides. Some praised Clara's calm. Some wondered why a woman stayed so close to a man not her kin. May heard and set down change like hammer blows. "Ideas can also grow brains," she said. Clara heard less. Her world narrowed to the width of a bed and the slow measure of hours. She cleaned the wound, changed wrappings, and kept the broth warm. When Gabriel woke, she gave him sips and a steady place for his eyes. He said little. He stayed present the way trees do, by being there all the way to the ground. On the 2nd night, a knock. Lila Cross came with a basket. She laid a hand on Gabriel's shoulder, quick and careful. "Stubborn man," she said. "Ice will bargain and then cheat." He found a smile. You told me, he said. Lila turned to Clara. You're doing right, she said. When you sleep, I'll watch. I will sleep when he is warm through, Clara said. Then I'll sit now, Lila answered. She kept the fire, cooled cloths, and spoke of the ridge road and how snow finds fence wire like a string to play. By morning, the fever eased. Gabriel's hand found Clara's wrist once, not to hold, only to know where the room was. She stayed until he slept again, then stood and remembered her own body. May met her with a folded note. From Mr. Pike, she said. The lines ran tidy as ever. He offered prayers and a suggestion that Clara keep ladylike distance for the sake of quiet. Clara folded the paper into a match and fed it to the stove. Flame took it. Quiet is not the same as good, she said. Snow slid from the eaves in sheets. The storm had thrown its weight and was leaving. The house knew how to hold. So did she. In lamplight, the hard part passed and left a seam. A scar later, a mark that told a true story the way good work does. Days settled into a pattern like a well-made seam. Morning meant broth for Gabriel, fresh wrappings and quiet talk if he felt like it. Afternoon meant the shed, where Clara kept the iron hot and the needle true. Evening meant a chair by the fire in May's parlor, where Gabriel learned the long work of sitting still while bone and muscle argued their way back to peace. The wound stayed clean. Fever did not return. He used the crutches he had shaped years ago for another hurt man and kept for someday. Now the wood fit his hands like old friends. Clara watched for signs that were not noise. The line of his mouth easing, his shoulders lowering when pain stepped back, the hour he could sit without sweat. She said little. She set a mug where his reach ended and moved it closer only when needed. The town watched too. Words crept like cold under doors, then pooled. Some said she sat in there at all hours. Some said she had saved his life. Some said a woman should mind the fence of respect. Henry Pike rang up nails and smiled. He did not start the talk. He did not stop it. Lila Cross came most afternoons with broth, leaf tea, and stories that kept a room company without taking it over. She had known Gabriel when he first arrived with a bedroll and a good axe, but no plan beyond work. Folks said they had almost matched once. Lila offered help and left choices where she found them. Eat, she would say, setting down a jar. Storms teach hunger how to wait, but not too long. When Gabriel slept, Clara mended. She set his best shirt on her lap and followed each thread with patient hands. A pale rosebud cloth from May's closet became a hidden patch. One night the wind combed the eaves and Gabriel woke rough from a dream. The lamp shook. Clara rose. Here, she said, steady as a shelf. He caught his breath. The tree fell again. It's ash now, she said. We burned it. He laughed once, then winced. After that, sleep came easier. By week's end, he stood with help. May cleared a path, and he learned the dance of 2 canes and 1 careful leg. Start with the weight on the sound side, she said. He did as told and rested when she said rest. Outdoors, snow slipped from fences. The mill yard returned to its loud self. The shed waited and Clara kept longer hours to make up for the days spent in bed. Customers came in a slow, solid stream. A ranch woman brought a heavy skirt to be let out. A boy brought his father's coat, eyes bright with the errand. Clara wrote their names and marked paid when coins made a small heap. On a clear afternoon, a notice went up outside the council hall. The railroad men were coming in 2 weeks to speak of a cut and a station. Folks gathered to read the neat letters. Promise sat side by side with warning. Tracks will bring trade, someone said. Tracks will drink the creek and spit sparks, someone else answered. Clara read, then folded her hands in her sleeves. She thought of the slope where ice had taken Gabriel's leg for a while. She thought of the creek's fast voice. Gossip shifted shape. Some said Gabriel would not return to work. Some said Clara liked a man weak enough to need her. The words were small. Harm tried to be large. May stacked plates hard enough to make a point. People get nervous when good changes stick, she said. They poke to see if the work will fall apart. It will not, Clara said. That night, Clara carried her mending to Gabriel's chair and sat opposite him. Lila kept the corner with her knitting. Tell me about the ridge in spring, Clara said. Lupine runs like water, Gabriel said. Bees drag their feet with pollen. The trail smells like sun-warmed pine, Lila smiled. And the wind forgets to be cruel. Clara let those pictures take root. She could see herself on the grave ridge when the snows ended, a place to walk to when the time came. Before bed, she pinched the lamp dark, fire to ash, ash to clean glass. The day had been true. In the morning, Gabriel used one cane and a steady wall. He looked at the door and then at Clara. "Walk me to the shed?" he asked. She nodded. "We'll go slow." They crossed the yard in a rhythm they both could live with. At the doorframe, he set his hand on the wood she always touched in passing. For a moment, the town felt like it had found a new way to stand. Two people making space, thread over cut, light over ash. Work waited inside. Snow melted slowly. They stepped in together. The thaw left ruts across the street. Clara stepped around them on her way to the shed, basket on her arm. Work waited. So did the notice on the council door, creased by fingerprints. 2 weeks had become 9 days. Inside the shed, she set the iron near the stove and warmed her hands. Gabriel came later, careful with the cane, the other hand trailing the wall. He stood in the doorway and let the light measure him. The line of pain across his brow had thinned. "You don't have to stand," she said. "I like the view from here," he answered. "The window makes the day honest." She threaded a needle. A rancher's coat needed a new cuff. She set stitches true. By noon, a crowd gathered near the hall. Clara went with May to read the paper tacked over the old. The railroad men would offer a depot near the creek and a spur up the north slope. Jobs, they promised. Coin. Speed. A thin map traced a dark line through the meadow, crossed the children's field, then ran near the mill sheds before it climbed toward the pines. May tapped the map. "That spur will bite the slope the way ice did," she said. "And sparks near dry boards are a prayer said wrong." Henry Pike stood to the side, hat square. "Progress will wash the town clean," he told listeners. "We will stand taller on a platform." "Taller is not the same as truer," Clara said. They walked back. Lila met them with a handbill. "The men from the line will visit houses," she said. "They want signatures." "Signatures bind," May said. "So does silence." That evening, Clara brought mending to May's parlor. Gabriel sat with his leg up, whittling a small spool holder, 2 pegs and a rose carved so shy it was more suggestion than bloom. Ash from the stove made a soft veil. "They will come here too," May said. "Ask us to write our names under theirs." "Ask where they plan to drink water in July," Gabriel said. "Ask what their sparks do in August wind." Clara pictured the line in the yard. She pictured the creek shallowing into a hot whisper. "We need more than questions," she said. "We need a way to show harm before it arrives." "Bring folks to the slope," Lila said. "Show them where ice slid and what it taught." "Bring them to Grave Ridge," May added. "Let them read the stones and think on speed." The next morning, Clara wrote 3 lines on scraps and passed them with mended shirts. Meeting at the shed at sundown. Walk after. Bring a lamp. At sundown, people came in 2s and 3s, lamps held low. The shed door stood open. Gabriel leaned against the frame, cane by his boot. Clara spoke plainly. "The map shows the spur cut across the meadow," she said. "It will climb the same slope that took a leg's strength for a while. It will throw sparks near boards. It will pull water from a creek that runs thin come August. These are not rumors. We can walk and look." They walked. Lamps swung like small stars. On the slope, pine stood black against the last blue. Gabriel tapped the ground. "Freeze and thaw make the skin of this hill slick," he said. "Iron will scrape it raw." At Grave Ridge, the wind laid a cold hand on them. Names cut in stone held their breath. Clara put her palm on one marker. "We can choose how we live with our dead," she said. "With respect or with noise?" They stood quietly. The quiet became a sentence everyone understood. Back in town, the railroad men had visited doors. Promises slid smooth as oil. A paper lay under May's door with a place for a name. Henry came to the shed the next morning with brass buttons and clean gloves. "Miss Weston," he said, "help folks see sense. The depot will bring ladies who like fine goods. Your shop might double." "Work grows in more than one direction," she said. "So does ruin." "You are new here," he said. "Let men who have carried the town's books guide it." "Books can be balanced with courage as well as coin," she said. "I won't sign." Color rose under his collar. "Not mine," he said. "The town's." May's voice came from the door. "Which you hold like a leash," she said. He straightened his gloves and left. By night, word ran. A vote would be set after the railroad men gave their talk. Clara felt the town gather itself the way cloth does before a tear. Tension she could almost hear. She banked the stove and watched ash settle. Fire can be held right or wrong. She was not afraid. She meant to help the town choose which. The week before the meeting tightened like a belt pulled one hole too far. Men from the railroad walked the street in dark coats, tipping hats, leaving papers. They spoke of speed and wages. They did not speak of sparks or water run thin or hills that slide when iron bites them. May kept coffee on and heard questions. She spread the map. "Look at the meadow," she said. "Imagine it cut, then oiled and ashed." Some nodded. Others said more money might mend thin months. Henry Pike worked his rounds with a merchant's smile. He told mothers the depot would bring fabrics, ranchers better cattle prices, and the preacher a bigger roof. His hand settled on the shoulders, guiding. A letter came to May's door on good paper with a stamp. It carried careful words: "If the town signs now, the company will lay track by summer. If the town refuses, they will choose another valley and the chance will be gone." "That's the hook," May said. Now they tug. Clara worked and planned between stitches. She listed faces who might listen. The ranch woman with the heavy skirt. The father whose boy brought the mended coat. The mill foreman with a daughter who wheezed when smoke was thick. She wrote notes on scraps and tucked them under spools. Gabriel tested his leg in short walks and saved the longest one for the yard. He ran his hand along the rail pile and felt the old grain. "They do not know this place," he said. "They see a line on paper, not a hill with a temper." In the evening, Lila brought tea and a small book on fires, pages marked with a blue scrap. "Numbers talk to men who won't hear stories," she said. Clara copied neat lines: dry season, spark spread, wind speed. Word moved like weather. A poster went up. "Town Hall, Thursday at 7, vote to follow." People began to practice their faces. Some turned blank. Some sharpened. A few softened when they saw Clara cross the bridge with Gabriel at her side, his cane keeping the beat. Two company men stood in the mercantile when Clara bought thread. One had city shoes. The other gripped a pen like a trusted tool. Henry smiled at them and then at her. "Miss Weston," he said, "your example is mentioned often. Work, self-reliance. The line rewards such things." "The line helps what it does not harm," Clara said, "and harms what it does not see." Tapenman offered a paper. "Sign that you welcome progress," he said. "A lady of your standing will sway the town." "I do not stand where your paper points," she said. He blinked. Henry's smile thinned. Clara paid for her thread and left with her chin level to the day. Outside, children raced down the boardwalk. Their feet made a drum. She pictured them near steam and steel and did not like the picture. That night the shed held a quiet council. The ranch woman came, the foreman came, the schoolgirl with the rip at the knee came with her mother, and Lila stood near the door. Gabriel sat where he could rest his leg and still meet each person's eyes. Clara spoke first. "We will be given a small window to speak," she said. "Say one true thing you know. Keep it clean. Let the truth do the lifting." She handed out tiny cards. "Write it simply," she said. The ranch woman wrote, "Fire jumps grass." The foreman wrote, "Sparks steel shifts." The schoolgirl's mother wrote, "Children walk the meadow." Gabriel wrote last. He kept his words plain. "Ice taught me. That hill slides." They practiced once, just the opening lines. No one shouted. No one tried to sound large. The sound grew to its own height. At the end, Clara tied the cards with a thread. She looked at the people who had stood by her when standing cost. The worry did not vanish, but it found a place to sit. Morning brought an ultimatum hammered to the post. Sign by Wednesday night or lose the line. Henry moved door to door like a clock hand. "It is now or never," he said. Clara kept the shed open. She returned change to a ranch hand who paid a penny too much and straightened an old man's collar before he stepped back into the cold. She did small things right while the town argued about the large one. Near noon, a boy ran in with a message. "Mrs. Pike asks you to come and fit a dress." May looked up. "Don't go," she said. Clara went. She did not go for Henry. She went for the woman who had married a man who polished his smile too often. Sometimes the right path ran through hard rooms. She lifted her kit and her calm, then crossed the street. Low clouds held. Doors along the boardwalk watched her pass without a word. The town hall filled before dark. Boots scuffed the floor. Lamps swung and made small halos on the walls. The company men sat near the front with neat hats and a folder thick with papers. Henry Pike stood beside them, clean gloves in his pocket, smile in place. May and Lila took seats by the aisle. Gabriel came on his cane and sat near the wall where he could see the room and breathe. Clara stood in the back at first, then moved forward until the light found her face. The councilman banged a small hammer. "We will hear the proposal," he said. "Then we will hear the town." A man from the company rose. His voice was smooth as a shell. He spoke of jobs, of iron and speed, of mail that arrived like a promise kept. He laid a map on the table and traced the dark line with a clean finger. He did not say Sparks. He did not say water. He said growth and future, and the names of other towns that had said yes. Henry followed. He turned to face the room like a preacher with a new text. "We have drifted too small," he said. "This line will lift us. Ladies will want fine cloth. Men will sell more beef. Our children will see the world come to them, and we will meet it with our heads high." He nodded toward Clara as if she were proof. "Industry is dignity. We should not fear it." A low hum moved across the benches. The councilman held up his hand. "Those in favor will be heard after those with concerns," he said. "Speak plain and brief." The foreman stood first, cap in his hands. "Sparks from iron bite dry boards," he said. "We lose shifts. We lose pay. That is not a story. It is one I can time." A ranch woman spoke next. "Fire jumps grass," she said. "Wind makes a small flame run like a horse." The schoolgirl's mother stood. Her voice shook but held. "Children walk the meadow. The line crosses where they play." A few nodded. Some kept their eyes on their knees. The company man wrote something in his book and did not lift his head. Lila spoke from the aisle. "I read numbers," she said. "August wind, spark spread. Our ridge is dry by then. A map can say quickly. A map cannot say burn." Gabriel pushed himself to his feet. He set the cane, squared his shoulders, and let the room go quiet. "Ice taught me this hill," he said. "It shifts. You plant a spur up the north slope. Iron on that skin will scrape it raw. When it rains, the run will bring mud down to the creek like a sheet. We will taste that change in our mouths." He sat. The room stayed still a heartbeat longer, then breathed. The councilman looked to the back. "Miss Weston," he said. "You asked for time." Clara stepped into the front light. She felt it touch her face the way a hand checks a brow. She held the small bundle of cards, but did not need them yet. Her voice was steady. "I came here on a train," she said. "Speed brought me. I like what moves honest goods and honest letters. But speed can also roll over what makes a town itself. We are not a line. We are a place. We are a creek that runs thin in late summer. We are a mill that bristles with dry boards half the year. We are children who cross a meadow to school. The company says it will bring jobs. Ask what they will take. Ask what burns when their map forgets to mark wind." She lifted the tied cards. "I asked people to write one true thing," she said. "Not long. Not loud, true." She read them one by one. "Fire jumps grass. Spark steel shifts. Children walk the meadow. Ice taught me. That hill slides." She set the cards down. The line is not evil, she said, but this path is wrong. If they set the depot where heat and sparks and slope do less harm, I will stand and say yes. If they will not, I ask this room to vote no. She stepped back. The room felt like a held breath, waiting for a word to release it. The company man rose again. We follow the easiest grade, he said. Cheaper to cut. Faster to build. Safety is our watchword. Then listen to the ground, Gabriel said, not loud. Henry smiled hard. Miss Weston speaks well, he said. But she is new. She has not starved through winters like some of us. May stood, hands firm on the bench before her. We did not starve because we set fire to our own roof for heat, she said. We found slower wood. The councilman brought the hammer down once. Enough, he said. We will vote. They passed a wooden box and a handful of white stones and black stones. White for yes, black for no. Each person held a stone, closed a fist, and let it fall into the dark mouth of the box. The sound was small and steady, like hail on a far roof. Clara took a black stone and let it go. She watched the box move away, then looked at Gabriel. He met her eyes with a quiet that steadied her bones. When the last stone dropped, the councilman opened the lid. 2 men counted. They set the whites in one bowl, the blacks in another. They did not speak. They moved stones with plain hands the way you move beans on a kitchen scale. The room bent forward. A child coughed, then turned red. The councilman lifted his head. By 4, he said. No. Sound rushed like water finding a spillway. Some clapped. Some swore under their breath. Henry's jaw jumped, then went still. The company men stood, hats in hands, and made their polite faces for the long road out. The councilman banged the hammer again. Meeting adjourned, he said. Town go home. People rose. Bodies filled the aisle. In the press, a woman touched Clara's sleeve and whispered, Thank you. The foreman tipped his cap to Gabriel. Lila squeezed May's hand. Outside, the night was cold and clean. Stars were sharp. Boots found the street and made the sound of work going on tomorrow. Henry stepped up once more, close enough to borrow heat. You made a show, he said softly. It will cost you. Clara stood her height. Work already cost me, she said. It paid me back. He half bowed and walked away, smooth as ever, into the dark. Gabriel leaned on his cane and looked up at the stars. You spoke truer than I have heard in a while, he said. I read what the town handed me, she said. He smiled, and gave it back whole. They crossed the bridge slowly, the creek running fast below. The shed stood quiet. The house lights waited. The choice had been made and would need mending of its own in the days ahead. But for this hour, the town had held together like cloth that had been pulled and did not tear. Clara breathed the cold air down to the bottom of her ribs and let it find warmth on the way out. Morning after the vote, the town woke slowly but lighter. Frost painted the boardwalk. Clara stepped into the shed, lit the stove, and set the iron to warm. Work waited in a pile she had made before the meeting. She sorted it by skill and time, quick buttons, patient patches, hems that needed measuring twice. The needle felt right in her fingers. When the first customer came, a ranch boy with his father's coat, he handed it over. Pa said you fixed it right last time, he said. I will fix it right again, Clara said. By noon, the pile had grown. A teamster wanted the seat of his trousers doubled. The schoolteacher brought a shawl with moth bites. May carried napkins for fresh hems and a smile that had weather behind it. Some folks slept easier, May said. Some didn't sleep at all. Either way, mouths will open today. Keep yours honest and simple. I will, Clara said. Henry Pike passed the shed in the afternoon. He paused, then came in. He placed a folded shirt on the table. The cuff was frayed. This needs your skill, he said. Clara looked at the cuff, then at his face. The old sharpness was there, dulled a degree by the night. It does, she said. 2 rows inside and out, he nodded. Send the bill, he said, and left without a speech. When the door closed, Clara exhaled. She set the seam and tied it true. Work spoke its own language. It said what words could not. Toward evening, Gabriel came, hat under his arm, walking with more leg than cane. He set a parcel beside her shears. "For your window," he said. Inside lay a wooden frame he had made from a clean board, sanded smooth with a rose carved along the bottom rail. "It holds a sign," he said, "or a bit of lace if you want light to talk." Clara traced the rose. "It will hold both," she said. She slid her old paper, a simple list of mending, under the frame. The letters looked braver there. "We changed this place," he said. "We did," she said. They locked the shed and walked to the bridge. The creek ran dark under a skin of ice, quick where it could breathe. Stars came early. "Will you come up to the grave ridge when the snow pulls back?" Gabriel asked. "The lupine will run like water." "I will," she said. "We'll bring bread." Supper at May's felt like a bench after a long day, plain and good. Talk turned to feed, fence, and winter coughs. No one said hero. Respect came in work clothes and sat down. After the dishes, they stood again at the shed door. He touched the frame he had carved and then the door jamb she always touched. "I have an idea," he said. "When your shop grows, we can set a larger table and a skylight. I can plane boards for a counter that fits your arms. We will build it square so you will not have to bend." "We?" she asked. "If you like," he said. "Equal, your plan, my hands." "Your hands, my back." Clara stood her full height. Warmth rose from the stove, though the fire had fallen low. "Yes," she said. "Equal suits me." He smiled, small and sure. Snow slid from the roof. The shed took the sound and held. Spring walked toward the valley one cautious day at a time. The meadow kept its grass. The wrong line was folded and packed away. Men still argued at the livery. Women still priced beans. Children still ran the boardwalk and laughed. Clara's sign, set in its rose frame, gathered more names. She added a second chair and a taller lamp. Lila brought scraps and spoke of a small reading circle after chores. May measured curtains for the boarding rooms. When Clara climbed the stairs at night, her feet felt used but not emptied. On a clear morning weeks later, she and Gabriel climbed to the grave ridge with bread. Lupine did run like water. Bees dragged their feet. They sat on warm stone. The town lay below, roofs like ships on a steady sea. "I thought love would ask me to become small," Clara said. "It does not." "It asks for truth," Gabriel said. "And good work." She took his hand. His palm was rough and known. Wind moved through the lupine and did not argue. The world felt mended, not perfect, but held where it had torn. When they walked down, the sun sat low and gold. The shed waited. The house lights winked on. Work tomorrow would be ordinary and right. Clara touched the door frame and then the rose. She had a life that fit. It would widen where needed like a careful seam. She smiled and went in. If Clara and Gabriel's story warmed your heart, tap like. It really helps this channel. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next Western romance. Tell me your favorite moment in the comments or who you want to hear about next.